What do you make, my friend, of what we've just seen? I mean, 9 wickets in a blooming session?
No, I think, like I mentioned on the tweet today, perfect timing for our live chat just in time before the match ends.
Yeah,
It's
man.
crazy though. I think to expect a match to go beyond 3 days in India has become almost impossible now. And the way, at least yesterday, Australia looked, I thought this might go till day four, day five. But yeah, I think nothing beyond day three can happen in this country. One of the things that I really think is, I think this is basically Indian team trying to, you know, give the visitors a few extra days to explore the country while they're on the tour.
Well, we saw a day before this Delhi Test match. David Warner was here in Noida, walking around the DLF Mall of India, right? And then I'm like, hang on. First, the guy's never scored runs in India. He's clearly struggling. What's he doing walking around the mall the day before? And as it turned out, the guy didn't score runs, and then he got concussed. Maybe this is David Warner's way of saying, "Bhai, humse nahi ho payega." I'm checked out of this series. But Sridhar, just to go back what
Yeah,
you were saying, yes, matches are getting over in 4 days.
yeah.
Are you okay with this? Do you have a problem with it? Because frankly, I'm totally okay with it. But what's your take on
Mhm.
this pattern we're seeing?
I mean, see, it's okay. I don't think there's an issue with the matches getting over in 3 days. The only problem I foresee is it might become a bit predictable. Like, you know that the wicket fall will happen in bunches, and then it just happens. And, like the whole excitement of a test match is where you have those grueling sessions where while you look like it seems like nothing's happening, but actually the players are grinding it out on the in the middle of the pitch, and there's like overs and overs of very hard bowling, and people are like defending, blocking, long sessions. I think used to make it a lot more interesting than everything just quickly getting over. Then the only reason why Test cricket is different from T20 and ODI is because of how um, how much patience matters in this format, which I think is really sort of something that you don't get to see often these days.
Yeah. Especially in these conditions, which then, just like you rightly said, Sridhar, that then
Yeah,
puts more onus on these visiting teams to come here with all the preparation done, right? But having
absolutely.
seen what happened in Nagpur and then seeing this, I'm like, but what was this Australian team's plan, right? And I understand they knew even before they boarded the Qantas flight from Australia that Mitchell Stark was probably out of 2 matches. Cameron Green was out for a match. So despite all that, but I just go back to the fact that you talk about toss ka boss and toss is going to be important. The toss has actually not made a difference in either test match because when you're scoring
Yeah,
177 and scoring 91, right? And even here again,
yeah,
fantastic toss to win. The kind of
yeah,
test cricket that you're talking about, I think we saw that more in this match because day one, there were times when India were behind the 8 ball. And even
yeah,
yesterday, I mean, Nathan Lyon had India on the mat 88 for 4.
yeah,
But just like in Nagpur, just like in past series, India's
yeah,
reliance on and having extra batsmen, that batting
yeah.
depth Australia missed in both test matches. So while we can go on about pitches and how great Ashwin and Jadeja
Yeah.
are, Australia just didn't have the right plan, Sridhar.
That's true. I think it's been the case with them anyway. Back in the day, earlier when Ricky Ponting or Gilchrist or those teams when they used to tour as well, there was a lot of grit and determination, and they would like stick it. They would never sort of give up easily like the current lot of players in Australia do. But also, I think how much can you prepare, right? Like if Ashwin is bowling like that on a pitch, and or Jadeja is bowling the way he's bowling, I don't think any team with any amount of preparation will be able to do anything. And about the pitch, funnily enough, before Nagpur, there was a lot of chatter around how the pitch could behave, right? The same chatter was not there before Delhi, probably because it was difficult to see the pitch even because of the fog, right? I think all that all that build-up was not really relevant for Delhi. And I think more so the number of days Australia was preparing for every test is probably longer than the number of days the test cricket matches lasted. So it's kind of yeah, sad to see that.
I'm going to quickly put up another poll for our viewers. This is
Yeah.
only for the lovely viewers joining. Guys, let me know. You have 25 seconds. Is the toss as big a factor in this series? I just alluded to it, and Shridhar added to it. आप लोग का क्या लगता है? Quickly, let me catch your votes. I don't know whether you've seen the test that Amazon Prime thoda propaganda type documentary. Do you think this team is like giving them like you're a comic, you need that
Yeah.
material? Are they handing
Okay.
this material to all of us watching? Because I mean, I would love to see. I'd love to be a fly on the wall if season three is ever
Mm.
made of that show. Like, what are they thinking and what are their reactions when each guy is walking back literally 10 minutes after the other wicket? Sridhar.
No, I think it is good material. The only problem is when you do stand up, there's two aspects to it, right? There's a setup and a punchline. Like you do a nice setup and there's punchline. But I don't think with Australia there's a punchline coming anytime soon. Like it's only been set up of this very bad moments. Like because generally the
Yeah.
climax is a good sort of an ending. Maybe the next season we'll have to wait for a few years before the ending is right for them to release that series.
No, I think they're the ones being punched. Very quickly, 75% of our viewers have said no, the toss is not a big factor. Let's get back to the match because again, this topic of the show was, is Australia adopting that aggressive option? Is that what they feel? And I get the logic. I mean, this is not the first team that's come here and tried to sweep and reverse sweep their way out of trouble.
Yeah.
But do you think, just on the basis of Sridhar, what we just saw, 9 wickets going in a session? I mean, guys,
Hmm.
without getting their eye in, you talked about Test cricket being a platform for players to grind it out. I think they just, maybe they were just phased by what they saw Ashwin doing or the low bounce. But every single batsman was trying to sweep and reverse sweep without even getting his eye in. Were they just like, had they checked out mentally, you think, or what?
I think, maybe their video analyst of the team probably said the only way to counter Ashwin or Jadeja is to do the sweep. But I think, one of the things is while there are certain shots you can play to counter certain kind of bowling, you have to have that presence of mind to use the shots in the correct
Yep.
situations, right? But I think at some level, maybe I think no matter how much prep they did, the confidence levels were not very high of the Australian team. And whenever they were in doubt, they just swept. Like they just felt like it was one impulse reaction that could save
Yeah,
their
yeah.
wicket. But unfortunately, if you don't use the right shots at the right time, you are bound to give your wicket away, which I think is
Yep.
happening with the team.
Exactly, and a lot of viewers watching are also agreeing. I mean, I saw Steve Smith come out, right? You mentioned, that
Mm.
more time was spent in planning. Even yesterday, the moment that wicket fell, he looked up and he got up. He actually spent more time getting to the crease in the first innings than he ended up spending. Because second ball he was out. I think maybe he was like, he had that hangover of that like really bad dismissal because I mean, we've all watched Steve Smith for years now. We know what the guy can achieve, Sridhar. But he just
Yeah,
looked off, and then so early into his innings playing, and
yeah,
not just a sweep. It was like more about like a hut kind of sweep, right? And that to Ashwin, a guy who's got your number. So I just
yeah.
think maybe I don't know, they weren't there or the Ashwin factor because Ashwin factor, Jadeja factor, they're going to loom over you, right?
Mm.
But when I see batsmen like Steve Smith play this show, I think that something is just it's not right in that dressing room, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. See, one of the things is no matter how good the bowling of any spinner on the Indian conditions is, there are a few basics generally that help a lot of people stay for longer. Say, if you look at Nathan Lyon, for example, or the Todd, the new guy who's bowling, they're also spinning the ball quite
Yep, yep.
well. But I think what's happening with the Indian batsmen is they're at least trying to sort of play the ball on its merit and not actually have one shot for every single ball, you know. And what happens also is that Ashwin really knows. Ashwin knows that they will sweep, and he's prepared for that sweep. Whereas the Indian batsmen, I think, for the probably lack of preparation against the Australian spinners, don't know what shot works. So they're actually playing bases the ball. Whereas the Australians think that sweep is the only solution, which I don't think really is working for them right now.
It didn't work. I mean, Ashwin, like, I mean, I've been a big fan of him now ever since he made his debut. Just the way the guy is evolving, right? You get the fact that he's obviously a very smart guy even before he put a ball in his hand. Because
Yeah.
and he's a cricket, like, I thought I was a cricket tragic. This guy, like, he spends his whole day watching matches in Zimbabwe and all, right?
yeah,
How much do you think this guy actually? And I'm sure once he's done, I think we know where he's gonna go. He's got a
mm,
fantastic YouTube channel, his Kutti stories,
yeah,
and the way that he dissects games. But
yeah,
do you think he thinks like, "Yeah, I've got these guys in my pocket"? Because it's not about just having a terrific record. A guy who spends so much time. You mentioned the the data analysts and the technicians.
yeah.
This guy's a walking talking. This team doesn't need to spend time watching videos when they've got a guy like Ashwin there. Yeah,
Yeah, Ashwin looks like one of those strategy department guys in a corporate office. Like he's a typical South Indian employee who before going to work is doing his mathematics, is doing his preparation, and then going and playing on the field. But I think the guy has impeccable understanding of the game, and more than anything, you know he's done engineering, right? Like Ashwin was an engineer
yeah,
before. I think his mindset is still that, like problem solving. Like he knows what the problem is, how to approach that problem and sort of come up with solutions. That guy, he understands and he studies the game really well, more than any video analyst or any coach giving inputs. I think he himself has like a playbook of what he needs to do in the match, and he goes in a very methodical way. Like for example, you look at some of the bowlers. Let's say I don't know, Umran Malik, right? Umran Malik knows his strength is pace. Like he'll come and he'll keep bowling pace, 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 pace. Whereas Ashwin is more like I don't know, Dravid of bowling, if you have to put it that way. Like he's very calculative. He knows what he's doing in every ball. Like he's planning. He's using his brains and then sort of executing those plans. So I think both things work. But within Ashwin's case, the success rate is probably a lot higher because
yeah.
it's backed by a plan
Yeah,
than probably, I don't know, let's say some other player who's just coming and bowling or batting the way they
yeah,
always do.
yeah, yeah. I like the corporate analogy. He's like the guy. He's gone up the ranks. He's done well. He gets the corner cabin. He gets the bonus. He gets the best package,
Right.
and most likely he gets that first overseas posting because he's just brilliant. But
Absolutely.
his spin twin. Okay, if that's the analogy we're going to use for Ashwin, this guy, it's like maybe he came to the office to to drop off a package and someone saw some
Yeah.
spot because he comes from a very different background than
Yeah.
Ashwin does, right? But
I mean, if
together
you
these
compare,
guys,
yeah, if you compare
please.
the two, Ashwin is like a typical MNC employee. Jaddu is like the startup employee, like like he's just doing whatever the hell he wants to do in the office. I mean,
He's
there's no
come from the
method.
basement and now he's making his way up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's just so genius, right? Like it's not that he has certain playbook in his mind. He comes, he spins. I don't think he's doing too many variations of my
He's
can
not, no, yeah.
like spin pace, and he's getting those wickets.
And you see his record, it's actually it's marginally, it's at times it's marginally even better than Ashwin, because like they say,
Yeah,
if Ashwin doesn't get you, this guys, I just feel bad for someone like Akshar Patel who knows that yaar,
yeah,
on this day, okay, I've made a terrific contribution. I was saying before you
yeah,
joined, I think the man of the match award should be him. It's probably going to go to Jadeja, but
yeah,
Akshar Patel will say, yaar, I'm also a bowler, yaar, मेरे को bowling do. But
yeah,
Rohit Sharma, Sridhar, he knows when
yeah.
Jaddu and Ashwin are doing this, the other guys are going to have to wait, man.
Absolutely. No, I mean, imagine the quality of Indian bowling attack. Then Akshar Patel is just like sitting around doing nothing in the match. Like the
Correct.
guy who took about 8 wickets against England, where they could not bat to his bowling. He's like the backup bowler for the team. But this is where I think Indian players are very enterprising. Like he knows that his spot might be in danger, so he's batting well. Like he's batting really well. He's giving that all-rounder option to the team, so that even if he's not bowling, at least the team keeps him for his batting skills.
Yeah. A lot of guys are saying Ashwin is their best bowler. We got best spinner. आपका point valid है भाई. अलीम बाजवा जो भी आता है guest में वो valid बात भी बोलता है. We don't say these things. I'll just take some comments here. आपका valid point. A lot of hearts, a lot of goods. You like it? Yes, yes. I only get good guests, guys. But Sridhar, before
Yeah.
you join, I put a poll out and I gave the I
Hmm.
gave the fans just two options because it's my show. I can do what I want to do. I gave them
Yeah.
two options. Man of the match should be Jaddu or Akshar Patel. I think it was
Hmm.
62% of the viewers said Jaddu, and I get
Yeah.
it. The guy comes and
Yeah.
takes 7 wickets, but I just think India would not have even been even at parity with Australia if it were not for this guy's 74. It was his
Yeah,
84 that played a big role in Nagpur getting the team to 100, what, 220 odd run lead. At one
mm,
point when Kohli got out, 135 for six, you thought, I mean, Australia could get a 120, 130 run lead here, but they end up only one run ahead, largely because of this guy. How
yeah.
do you think the man of the match will go to him, or they'll say, "Nahin, Jaddu, the
No, so
bowler"?
I think the way perceptions work is if a batsman scores a century, like people appreciate it a lot more than let's say a bowler scores a 50. Like despite the 50 being important, like it's like Hrithik Roshan, right? When a Hrithik Roshan dance happens, like people tend to appreciate that a lot more than let's say Shah Rukh Khan breaking his back and doing some moves. Like it's fun to watch, but nothing compared to Hrithik Roshan's dance, right? It's like that. Like a Jaddu taking those 7 wickets is a lot more exciting for us to watch
Yeah.
than let's say for example Rohit Sharma bowls and then takes 3 4 wickets. It's fun, it's nice, but not man of the match. Man of the match is still that guy who's doing his job the way that he's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. But
Yeah,
coming back to Jaddu, his first wicket of the day was this guy Marnus Labuschagne. Now,
yeah,
I've never been a fan of ICC rankings. I think even on
mm-hmm.
Saurabh's show one time we were taking the piss when it comes to rankings. But
Yeah,
the guy is ranked number one, Sridhar. I was seeing a stat. Okay, some
hmm.
82% of his Test career runs have come in Australia, right?
Hmm.
And I said this before, I said yes, but let's not get swayed by what someone is ranked, right? He can argue, okay, bhai, I'll only score the runs wherever I'm playing, right? But the glaring weaknesses in this guy's game, Ashwin and Jadeja and even Akshar, they don't need a second invitation to
Hmm.
trouble you. And I was so shocked. On a pitch where everyone knows do not go back, and this guy was sweeping. The
Hmm.
moment he goes back to one ball, you know
Yeah,
that Jaddu is just gonna keep on firing in darts. And I mean, I think this shot
yeah.
just sums it up.
No, absolutely. I think he's probably world's number one in Australia. That's the way I would put the rankings. It's just that
Yeah.
thing is you've seen a lot of legends of the game who have done well in India, and I think the amount of skills you would need to be like a good batsman in India is at a different level. Like for example, Joe Root, right? When he came, like he did well. Like he stuck on the crease and he sort of played a few innings, scored the runs, and it's like a real test of the kind of technique you have. And it's not. I'm not saying his score or record in Australia doesn't matter, but I think for you to be the world's number, you have to be truly a world's number one across all different pitches and all different conditions around the world. Again, see, I also feel bad for these guys because I mean, no one like the preparation to the series was getting a guy who looked like Ashwin. I mean, if that is the level of prep that you're doing, I think it's difficult to survive.
As I said earlier, you're just giving fodder to so many people. Ashwin must be like, seriously, this is who you're playing against, right? I'm sure there's
Yeah,
a whole YouTube video series Ashwin had in
yeah,
mind. Just whoever this poor
maybe,
guy you picked up, it's not going to be the same. But look,
yeah,
it's not like the Indian team does not have its own passengers, does not have its own baggage. Whoever comes on
mm,
the show, it's just a rite of passage that I ask them one question on this guy
mm.
on our screen, KL Rahul. Um,
Uh,
where do you, Sridhar, I can guess, but I'm going to ask you, where do you sit on this, if it even is a debate anymore?
no, I think KL Rahul, he's just married, right? But his honeymoon phase hasn't started yet. Is all I can say. It just it's been a series of unfortunate events that he's been going. But to be very fair, I think there's a lot of other batsmen waiting in the wings, and we all
Precisely.
know KL has the talent. But beyond a point, it's okay. Huh? Like you don't need only him to score those runs. Like if you have a Shubman Gill waiting and sitting on the bench, you'd rather make him play than KL. KL can probably come back to form in other formats and make his way back into the team. But I think this persistence, despite the continued like failure, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I mean, unless I think the other factor here is because India is winning anyway, so a lot of these things get masked. Like it's
Yes,
not really
it's
coming
true.
as out in the open like it should be. I think it's good for him also to sort of take that break from Test and focus on other formats where he can make more money.
I like that one. Have you been seeing Venkatesh Prasad's tweets?
Yeah, yeah, I've been seeing. He's been very vocal about.
Very
I think
vocal, very
I think last time I saw Venkatesh Prasad so vocal was against Amir Sohel in that
vocal.
match.
96 quarterfinal. No,
Yeah,
he's found his voice. No, but I'm saying he does raise a valid point. 46 test matches, your average is 38. A lot of batsmen,
mm,
forget about skill, a lot of batsmen not afforded the kind of opportunities that KL Rahul has. And again,
yeah,
Shubman Gill, the guy is 23. He's coming off a breakout year
yeah,
across formats. He was India's second highest run getter in ODIs last year. He's
yeah,
overall all teams leading run getter in ODIs this year.
yeah,
He got 100 in a T20 match. His last test series, the guy got 100. So what kind of
mm,
example are you sending? Again, you and I can talk about this forever. But
mm,
one last question, because we've seen, I think the template Sridhar for this series has been set. If the match goes to day four, it's going to take some superhuman effort from some player. Ball is going to turn from day one. Do
yeah,
India perhaps need to realize that, yeah, we maybe batting is the problem, right? The bowlers are doing
yeah,
the job every damn
absolutely.
session. Problem
Yeah,
kahan pe aa raha hai? Problem aa raha hai because the batting is cocking up basically. Why not
yeah,
add batting strength by maybe dropping a bowler, dropping a fast bowler? Mohammad Siraj and Mohammad
yeah,
Shami were not even required to bowl again. Maybe
yeah,
because of KL Rahul struggles, Pujara struggles, whatever it is, maybe bolster your batting by playing, like you mentioned, you have Shubman Gill, you've got Surya
yeah,
Kumar Yadav, you've got
yeah,
Ishan Kishan. The bat, I mean, KS Bharat might be a fantastic keeper, but he's
mm,
clearly, finding his way as a batsman. So you
yeah,
don't need five bowlers. I mean, Akshar Patel was not required. Ashwin Jaddu are doing the job in the third innings. Do
yeah.
you think India should perhaps say, let's just drop a bowler and play a batsman?
No, I said replace KL Rahul and then you have an extra batsman in the team. That's as simple as that. Right now they're playing with fewer batsmen with him being in the lineup. And see, I understand the point of pacers or dropping a bowler, but I think on their off day, like Akshar Patel on his good day probably can take more wickets than let's say a Jaddu or an Ashwin as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think bowling wise it's quite sorted. It's just that if KL is replaced by somebody who's in form, I think even batting should look better because Akshar can get that all-rounder angle in and can bat deep. Like on a good day, even Shami hits those sixes and scores a brisk 30-40. So he's doing more than the top three are doing right now for the team. So I think a simple replacement of the opening should work well for India going forward.
Should. Yeah, again, I mean, we saw Mohammad Siraj was hardly required on day three in Nagpur. He was not
Yeah,
required here. So I'm saying if a fast bowler's role, or let's say if the secondary fast bowler's role is just to bowl you maximum 10 overs on day one when there's some help for the
yeah,
Pacers, really no point. And again, I don't think they're going to play a four spinner in Kuldeep because when Akshay is not required, you probably won't need Kuldeep. You definitely need to both for the batting. One last question for you, as well as the same question is going to go up for our viewers here. Are we looking at 4-0? While the viewers cast their votes, either final take from you, are we looking at 4-0?
yeah. I think it is a 4-0. I don't see Australia coming back from this, unless I don't know some miraculous batting by some of the Australian batsmen can save their day, or if the team persists with KL Rahul and then we have a batsman short and we have like a crazy collapse. I don't see this, going any other way. And also, I think the pitches, the way that at least we are seeing in the series, will only make it like a 3 day or a maximum a 4 day affair, where result is guaranteed. So I think it is going to be a 4-0 for India for sure.
And that's exactly what our viewers polled. 100% viewers said, yaar, is that a question? Isme koi doubt nahi, yaar. 4-0. Either absolute
Yeah.
pleasure that you joined the show. If you want to let our viewers know
Thanks,
what you're
Jimmy.
up to, where they can find you, go ahead. And if you have shows
Yeah.
coming up, any social media links, let our viewers know, yaar.
I mean, they can find me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is at IamComic, and that's where all my show updates are put. And yeah, I hope to see some of you at our live show soon.
Fantastic, my friend. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for taking
thank
out
you.
time, and let's do this again. Yeah, you enjoy your Sunday,
Yes,
Sridhar. Thank you.
yes. Thanks, Jimmy. See you. Bye. All right.
Bye.